Many casual gamers and those with conditions like ADHD avoid RPGs because of their complex mechanics. If you're not familiar with TTRPGs like D&D, Pathfinder, and others, many RPGs will feel inaccessible and overwhelming. But when you cut RPGs out of the gaming menu, you miss out on so many wonderful games with deep, enriching stories, inspiring characters, and rewarding combat. So let's break down the barrier to entry so that RPGs can be enjoyed by all gamers. Let's start with one of the most punishing turn-based RPGs to release in the 2010s, Darkest Dungeon. Don't let its age fool you. It still easily stands the test of time and has cemented itself into the hearts and minds of many RPG fans. But truth be told, this is a hard sell for gamers who avoid RPGs or just play some casually. Time to roll up your sleeves, adventurer, because we're going in. Let's start with a few critical core systems in Darkest Dungeon, the biggest being that it uses turn-based combat. Some may associate this with harder difficulty, but keep in mind that turn-based means you have time to analyze your next steps before taking them. Another is that there is permadeath. If you lose a character, they're gone, for good. Seems harsh, but don't worry, you can recruit more. And finally, the dungeon system. There are 3 types of dungeons: short, medium, and long. The length of the dungeon will determine how much supplies you need for the quest. Now let's break down the systems further, as well as review the ones that aren't as critical but are still important. When you launch the game, you will start on this screen, which is the town, serving as your base of operations. Now, not all of these buildings will be immediately unlocked, but they will become available as you progress. Let's start with the most important part, your heroes. The stagecoach on the far left is where you recruit heroes. These heroes are critical to completing quests, or dungeons if you will. You can recruit as many heroes as you have room for in your roster. That number is up here on the right-hand side. You want a large roster of heroes so that you can let heroes rest between their quests. If you click on the cross symbol here, you'll see the options for upgrading the stagecoach. This includes the number of heroes available to recruit, the size of your roster, and the chances of higher level heroes appearing for recruitment. These upgrades aren't free, as you can see from the symbols. We'll review the symbols and what they mean later. There are a number of different class types in the game, and they all have their own abilities. Highwayman is a ranged fighter that uses guns and daggers and has some stealth. Antiquarian focuses on buffs and debuffs. Arbalist is a ranged fighter with some buffs and debuffs. Man-at-Arms is a melee fighter that has good frontline defense and has buff abilities. Occultist works with hexes and curses and can attack melee or ranged. The Vestal provides healing and buffs. The Hellion is a melee fighter that does significant damage and can reach enemies further away. The Jester is a melee fighter that uses buffs and has some mobility. The Grave Robber is a ranged fighter that uses throwing daggers and has some mobility and stealth. The Crusader is a melee fighter with some healing abilities. The Abomination is a melee fighter that can shapeshift with some negative consequences. The Bounty Hunter is a melee fighter that focuses on single target damage. The Houndmaster uses his faithful companion to attack and also has some buffs, debuffs, and self-heal. The Leper is a melee fighter that is a good frontliner and can take a beating. The Musketeer is basically the same as an Arbalist. And the Plague Doctor focuses on buffs and debuffs. It's important to think about your party's composition before sending them out. You will want to balance the 4-member team between damage dealers and support. The game offers some information on how to handle this. When you open up a character sheet, you will see preferred position under combat skills, as well as preferred target. Each of those circles represents the placement in battle. This is because, unlike many other turn-based RPGs, the characters, both heroes and enemies, are lined up in a row, one after the other. So you want a party composition that has a hero who can perform well, or at least decent, in each position. For example, this Man-at-Arms is best in the first and second position. I highly recommend that you take at least one hero capable of healing each time you embark. Don't be fooled by these fancy titles that sometimes show up above the characters. They are just fun and clever titles and have no actual impact on the gameplay. Next in town is the tavern, used for stress relief. Yes, your characters get stressed. Stress is actually a pretty important mechanic in the game. Under each hero's name, you'll see a row of little squares. These represent stress. When the squares are dark, they are inactive. When the squares are white, they are active. Stress accumulates while the heroes are on quests. It automatically accumulates when entering and traversing a dungeon, but it can also be increased by a number of things, including dim light, critical strikes from enemies, walking backwards, stepping into traps, interacting with certain items in the dungeons, going hungry, witnessing a hero die or almost die, and removing debris without a shovel. In addition, your hero may have quirks that add to the stress. But don't panic. That's why there are sources of stress relief in town. The tavern offers the bar, the gambling hall, and the brothel. Just like with the stagecoach, you can update the tavern. These updates will unlock more slots so that more heroes can participate in the activities, increase the stress recovery of the activities, and reduce their cost. In the middle of town is another place for stress relief, the Abbey. The Abbey offers the cloister, the transept, and the penance hall, and has a similar upgrade system to the tavern. What kind of stress relief you use may depend on the character's quirks or may not matter. The other important thing to know about stress is what happens when all those little rectangles fill up, which equals 100 points. This triggers a test of resolve for the hero. Your hero has the potential to become virtuous or afflicted. If they become virtuous, their stress drops to around 40 points, they gain some kind of buff, and occasionally something additional happens, like healing themselves. If they reach the maximum number of stress points, they will lose their virtuous status and drop to 0 stress points. If they become afflicted, their stress continues to go up, they refuse to obey your commands, and they often cause stress for other heroes. A hero's stress can only go up to 200 points total, and then a heart attack is triggered. The heart attack will put that hero at death's door, or will kill them if they were already at death's door. A character can still be saved if they are at death's door. They just need to be healed, even if it's only for 1 point. If they take damage while at death's door, they have to succeed at resisting the death blow. There are penalties applied to the hero when at death's door and when recovered from it. These penalties will go away once the quest is completed. If you need to get rid of them sooner, there are certain camp abilities that can help. The next building is the Sanitarium. This is where your heroes are cured of their quirks and illnesses. All buildings can be upgraded, so you'll see options here for the treatment library, medical devices, and patient cells. These updates reduce costs, add more slots for treating patients, and increase the chances of curing additional diseases. All characters have quirks, but not all characters have diseases. On the character sheet, you'll see the quirks section towards the top. There are 2 sides to it, the one with yellow text and the other with red text. If you guess that red means bad, you'd be correct. There are both positive and negative quirks. Well, all of them have the option of being removed. Why would you want to remove a positive quirk? Because each hero can only have up to 7 positive and 7 negative quirks, so you might want to swap something out. Quirks can cause all kinds of fun stuff. For example, this positive quirk Tough gives the character plus 10% to the maximum HP. This negative quirk on this other character gives them a minus 15% damage during the first round of combat. Take time between quests to review your hero's quirks and see if there are any that should be removed. If you see an icon next to the quirk, that means the quirk has been reinforced, or it'll be harder, aka more expensive, to get rid of. Some quirks will directly impact how you manage stress relief for the character. For example, this character has God-fearing. This means that they will only pray in town for stress relief. You will also see diseases on the character sheet on the bottom right. Diseases are not an automatic feature, thankfully, but can be acquired during quests. Diseases can be contracted through certain enemy attacks, interactions with items, stepping into a trap, and occasionally when reaching the end of a dungeon. It's recommended that you remove these whenever possible, as very few of them offer any benefit, and all of them cause negative effects. Next up is the guild to the right of the abbey. The guild is for upgrading the abilities of your heroes. The updates focus on allowing higher skill levels and reducing the cost. Each class has 7 abilities. When you first hire them, they will have 4 unlocked. The level of the skills will depend on the level of the hero. For example, this level 0 man-at-arms has his abilities at level 1. If you like the skills that are already unlocked, you can focus on leveling those up. If you want to unlock a different skill and swap it out, you can do that too. Just keep in mind that heroes can only have 4 abilities equipped at a time. In addition to the combat skills that can be upgraded, each class also has camping skills. These cannot be upgraded, and you can only have up to 4 equipped at any time. When you recruit a hero, they will know 3. These skills can only be used when camping in a dungeon. There are a variety of healing and buffs abilities, making it easier to continue your dungeon spelunking. All the way to the left-hand side, you'll see a tent. That is the building used for learning new camping skills. Its only upgrade option is to reduce the cost. You'll see that each camping skill has a time cost on it. When you are camping, you'll be given a number of points available to use. The time cost associated with each ability is how many points it will use. To the right of the guild is the Blacksmith, where you upgrade armor and weapons. The upgrades for this building allow for higher levels of armor and weapons and reducing the cost of the upgrades. Each hero has armor and a weapon when they are recruited. These items are not swappable. The armor and weapon is specific to each class type. They can only be improved through upgrades. Unlike armor and weapons, items, or trinkets, can be swapped. In addition to getting them as rewards for quests and sometimes finding them in dungeons, you can also buy them at the Nomad Wagon. The items available in the Nomad Wagon will change every week. You can upgrade the wagon to increase the amount of trinkets that will spawn and reduce their costs. The final non-DLC building is Ancestors' Memoirs. This is just a catalog of the story. If you scroll through it, you will see all the parts that you have unlocked and those that are still locked, as well as any journals that you've collected. Let's return to the character sheet to look over the remaining sections: base stats and resistances. The base stats are the hero's maximum health, their dodge, protection, which is defense, speed, accuracy modifier, critical chance, and damage. These stats can be improved by upgrades to your weapon and armor, and the trinkets that you use, as well as some of the positive quirks. They can also be hurt by some of the negative quirks and diseases. The resistances listed are to all the effects that you may come across on a quest, either from enemies, items, or traps. They are given in percentages. The percentage represents how resistant you are to it. For example, this character has a 90% resistance to stun. That means enemies only have a 10% chance to successfully stun him. Now let's talk about all the currency types, all the icons on the left-hand side of the bottom menu. First, you have the obvious, gold. This is used for many things, like purchasing supplies before going into a dungeon, paying for stress relief activities, paying for removal of quirks and illnesses, upgrading abilities, upgrading gear, and buying trinkets. It's a pretty important currency, but most quests will reward you with gold. You can also sell any trinkets you don't need for gold. Then we have the 4 other base game currencies, which are called heirlooms. There are busts, portraits, deeds, and crests. If you hover over them, you'll see that they all say the same thing: used to upgrade town buildings. Yep, that's what they're needed for. These are found and collected during quests, and sometimes are also rewarded for completed quests. You may be wondering, what about after I upgrade all of the town buildings? Are they useless? Well, Technically, yes, unless you end up purchasing some DLC. We'll be tackling the paid DLC stuff in a separate video. For now, we're only talking about the base game and any free DLC. There is an icon to the left of the Embark button with one arrow pointing down and the other pointing up. If you click on it, you'll get a new menu for trading heirlooms. Its function is exactly what it says. You can trade one type of heirloom for another type of heirloom. You can look into this option if you want to upgrade a building but are missing the correct heirloom types for it. Now let's review the icons on the right-hand side of the menu. The bell represents the town crier. This window will show any current town events. Sometimes those events have helpful benefits, such as the medical ward being free, so make sure to check on it. The next is the scroll, or the activity log. This keeps tracks of the upgrades you've done, town events, quests, curing quirks and illnesses, etc. It also tracks your goals. The chest is your trinket inventory. Make sure to check this after quests to see if you should equip any to your heroes or sell them. The book is your glossary. I feel that one's pretty self-explanatory. And finally, the candle is your main menu. Now it's time for us to talk about preparing for the quests. When you click on the Embark button, you're taken to a new screen. This is where you choose your party and your quest. We already talked about the classes and party composition, so let's focus on the areas and types of quests. In the base game, you'll have the Warrens, the Weald, the Cove, the Ruins, and Darkest Dungeon. Each area has different types of enemies and represents a different biome. For example, the Cove is filled with fish-like enemies. Your heroes may be better suited to some location than others. This would be found on the character sheet under their quirks. For example, this hero is great in the Warrens due to these two positive quirks. Just like your heroes, these locations level up. As they level up, they get more difficult. As you complete quests in the locations, more unlock. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 different types of quests: short, medium, and long. You can expect to have to camp once for medium quests, and probably twice for long quests. Short quests do not require camping. Sometimes a quest will just call for completing room battles, or exploring a certain amount of rooms. Other times, they will require you to find items, or if you're far enough along, kill the boss of that area. The quest will tell you what level your heroes should be for it. If you bring a hero into a dungeon that's too difficult for them, they'll accumulate stress quicker. Once you've chosen your heroes and the quest, you go onto the provision page. This is where you get the supplies. You will automatically get some supplies, including the campfire wood needed for medium or long quests. You will need to decide what else to bring and how much to spend, keeping in mind that inventory space is limited, and you will be picking up loot while questing. Here are some things that you should always pack. Enough food to feed your heroes at least once for short quests, twice for medium quests, and 3 times for long quests, and at least 8 torches for short quests, 12 for medium quests, and 16 for long quests, although I would recommend even more. The other supplies are more subjective, but I typically take a shovel or 2 as well as some bandages. Each supply item has its purpose. Your characters get hungry while adventuring, so they need food. The shovels clear debris. The anti-venom cures blights, poisons, and toxins. The bandages cure bleeding. The medicinal herbs cleanse items and prevent maladies. The keys unlock chests and doors. The holy water purifies items. The laudanum heals stress. Quick note from Future Geeky. Laudanum does not cure stress. It cures horror. Horror is another mechanic that causes stress within the game. When a character is impacted by horror, that causes stress to accumulate over a number of rounds. The amount of stress that is caused and the amount of rounds that it lasts depends on the enemy type. For example, ghouls deal 3 stress for 3 rounds. So horror is more dangerous than just regular stress because it is a greater accumulation of stress over time. The torches increase the light level. These items are all consumable. When you use one, it's gone. Remember that both food and light are important for preventing extra stress on the heroes. You are now ready to embark on an adventure. I'm sure that seemed like a lot, And to be fair, it was. But you'd be surprised how quickly these systems can become like second nature. Have fun with it. Experiment. Be okay with losing some heroes along the way as you learn. It's all part of the experience. If you don't own any of the paid DLC, you're done. Yay! You can either dive into the game with renewed confidence, or wish you could get the last however many minutes of your life back. If you do have paid DLC, you're going to want to watch this video. I promise it's shorter.